Okay, so get this. There's this young woman, Anissa Weier, and she was just released from psychiatric care.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And get this. It was after serving time for a crime she committed when she was only 12.
12. What happened?
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, it was a stabbing.
Oh my gosh.
And the motive was, well, let's just say it wasn't your typical case.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What was it?
It was tied to, well, have you ever heard of Slenderman?
Slenderman. Yeah, that creepy internet, like, legend.
Yeah, that's him.
Wow.
That was supposedly the motive.
So they thought he, like, demanded this act of violence or something.
Yeah, that's what they said, and that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating to me, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a really serious crime here. A stabbing motivated by something that doesn't even exist.
Right, like something that isn't even real.
Yeah.
I mean, that really brings up some questions about the internet and how it influences us.
Yeah, especially like younger people.
Yeah, and how the lines between fantasy and reality can get all blurred.
Exactly. So let's break this down a bit.
Okay.
Back in 2014, what exactly happened with this whole Slender Man stabbing?
Okay, so back in 2014, there were these two 12-year-old girls, one of them being Anissa Weier,
Mm-hmm.
and they lured a classmate into the woods.
Into the woods?
Yeah, and they stabbed her multiple times.
They stabbed her at 12 years old.
Yeah.
That's just horrifying.
It's a really disturbing case, and it's unbelievable that the victim survived.
Yeah, the victim was 12 too, right?
Yeah, she was 12 also.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
It's crazy.
So what was going on in their minds?
Well,
Did they really believe they were doing this for Slender Man?
that's what they claimed. They believed that Slenderman was real.
Wow.
And that this attack would appease him.
So they thought if they did this, he'd leave them alone.
Yeah, they thought they would become his proxies or something.
The Roxies.
Yeah, so he wouldn't harm them.
Yeah. So,
Like, it's all very strange.
hold on. I think we need to rewind a bit here.
Okay.
I mean, what even is Slender Man? Like, where did this creature even come from?
So Slenderman is what's called a creepypasta.
A creepypasta?
Yeah, it's basically like a horror figure, but it was born on the internet.
Oh, okay.
It all started on this forum called Something Awful back in 2009.
Something awful.
Oops.
Well, that's certainly appropriate.
Right.
Yeah.
So someone posted these photos, but they were doctored photos.
Okay.
And it was of these children with this tall, thin figure lurking in the background, but the figure had no face.
Creepy.
And then they added these captions about this entity and how it stalks children.
So it was like, what, some kind of photo editing project?
Pretty much, yeah.
But how did it evolve into, an entire belief system?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. The internet has this ability to connect people, but anonymously.
Yeah.
And so it allowed this fictional creation to take on a life of its own. And people started sharing images and adding their own stories and creating fan art and videos, even video games.
Wow.
Yeah, it became this massive collaborative myth-making project.
So the lines between what was real and what was imagined, it all just started to disappear for some people.
Exactly it.
That's kind of amazing in a terrifying kind of way.
Right.
Yeah.
And for some people, especially younger people, who might be more susceptible to suggestion
Right.
or who are already struggling with mental health, this fictional world can start to feel very, very real.
So these girls, they got so deeply entrenched in this online world that I'm honestly speechless.
Yeah.
This act of court had some serious legal consequences.
Yeah, for sure.
They were charged as adults, right?
That's right. Because of how serious the crime was, they were initially charged as adults.
Wow.
But both girls were ultimately found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect.
Wait, not guilty. But they actually committed the act, didn't they?
They did, but the legal finding means they couldn't understand that what they were doing was wrong.
Because of their mental state.
Yeah, at the time of the offense.
I see. So this not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect thing, it's pretty complex.
It is.
Can you explain what factors the court considered?
So in this case, it wasn't about if they were competent to stand trial.
Right, so like whether they understood the legal process and could assist in their defense?
Exactly. It was about their mental state during the crime.
Okay.
They were found to be suffering from shared delusional disorder.
Shared delusional disorder.
Yeah.
What's that?
So that was influenced by their immersion in the Slenderman mythos.
So they both, fed into each other's delusions about Slender Man?
Exactly. So this disorder, it happens when one person develops a delusion and another person, usually someone close to them, adopts that same belief.
So what happened to them after the trial?
So they were both committed to psychiatric institutions for treatment.
to get help.
Yeah, and Anissa Weier spent about 4 years there.
Yeah.
And she was recently granted conditional release, but it's under strict supervision.
So she's out now.
Yeah.
But what about the other girl that was involved?
Right, so she was committed as well, and she's still under institutional care.
Okay, and what about the victim?
Yeah.
The girl they stabbed?
So her name's Peyton Leutner, and thankfully she survived.
Okay.
And she's shown just incredible resilience. I mean, it's really amazing.
Wow.
And she's actually been very vocal about her recovery, and she even started a foundation to help other victims of violence.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, she's amazing.
It's really inspiring to see how she turned such a horrific experience into a positive thing like that.
It really is.
It's really, hearing her story, it really makes all of this hit home.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that behind all the headlines and the legal stuff, there are real people.
Yeah.
Whose lives are forever changed by these events.
This whole case, I don't even know where to begin. It's terrifying, it's sad, and it's incredibly confusing.
I know, it really is.
It really challenges how we think about childhood
and
the impact of the internet.
Right.
And the very nature of reality itself. I mean, what even is real anymore?
I know. It's hard to say.
To me, it really underscores how vulnerable young people are to these online influences.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially, when you add in things like mental health challenges.
For sure. It makes you wonder how we can protect kids better in this, digital age.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. It's a crucial conversation that we need to be having as a society.
How can we equip young people to navigate this online world?
Right. And to think critically about what they're seeing.
Yeah, because it's so overwhelming.
It is. It's a lot.
But some would say that, monitoring children's online activity, that's like an invasion of privacy.
Right. Well, of course, it's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
We have to find that middle ground. It's not about being Big Brother. It's about being responsible.
Right. Guiding them.
Exactly. Yeah. And these conversations need to be ongoing. It can't just be a one-time thing.
Yeah, because the internet is constantly changing.
Right. Exactly. New trends, new platforms, new challenges. It's like a constant game of catch-up.
This case really highlights how mental health issues can intersect with the online world.
Absolutely. And we need to be more open about mental health.
Yeah.
Reduce the stigma and make sure young people have access to support.
Like early intervention is really important.
It is. It's key. And recognizing those warning signs of mental distress.
What, like if a child is spending too much time online?
Yeah, or withdrawing from friends and family.
Or showing signs of anxiety or depression?
Exactly. Those are all red flags.
Okay, so those are things to watch out for.
Definitely. And mental health issues, they can manifest in different ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a huge shift in behavior.
Right.
Other times it's more subtle.
So the key is to just be observant.
Yeah, and create an environment where young people feel comfortable talking about their experiences.
That makes sense, but it's not always easy.
It's not, no.
Teenagers can be so private.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes they don't even know they need help.
That's true. That's why it's crucial to create a culture of open communication.
Yeah.
Both at home and in schools.
Like letting them know it's okay to not be okay.
Right, and that they're not alone and that there are people who care.
What does all of this mean for the average person listening?
Right.
Most of us aren't going to get caught up in a Slenderman situation.
True, but the underlying themes of this case are relevant to everyone.
Okay, how so?
It's about understanding the power of the internet, how it can shape how we see things and influence our behavior, and how important it is to think critically.
And being aware of what we're consuming online.
Yes, media literacy is so important, especially for young people.
And the need for open communication.
Yeah.
And mental health awareness.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of our own online habits and creating a supportive and informed environment for the young people in our lives.
This case really makes you think about the nature of belief.
It does.
Like, how do we know what's real?
Right.
What's not real?
Especially online.
Yeah, where information spreads so fast.
And it's hard to know what to trust.
It's like we're constantly filtering.
We are.
Trying to figure out what's credible.
Yeah, what deserves our attention and what's just noise.
And that filtering process, it's affected by so many things.
It is. Our biases, our social networks, the algorithms that decide what we see online.
Right.
It's really a complex mix of psychology, social dynamics, and technology.
So we're all living in our own little filter bubbles.
Kind of, yeah. And those bubbles can be shaped by so many things.
That's kind of scary.
It is, which is why it's so important to be aware of those filters.
Yeah.
And to step outside of our comfort zones.
To get different perspectives.
Exactly.
It affects all of us, even if we don't realize it.
I think you're right.
This is getting pretty deep.
It is, but it's important.
The Slender Man case, as disturbing as it is, it reminds us to be critical about information
It does.
and to be aware of the potential dangers of being online too much.
Yeah, and to prioritize mental health and well-being.
We've talked a lot about the dangers of the internet,
We have.
the need for critical thinking, media literacy, mental health awareness.
Yeah.
But are there any positive takeaways from all of this?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the internet isn't all bad, right?
No, not at all. The internet's an incredible tool. It's
Yeah.
connected people, it's fostered creativity, it's given us access to information in ways we never had before.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, amidst all the scary stories, there are also good things happening,
Right.
like Peyton Leutner, the victim.
Exactly. Her story shows how resilient the human spirit is, that we can overcome even the most unimaginable things.
And the fact that she's using her experience to help others, that's just amazing.
It really is.
It really is. So maybe the takeaway is that the internet, like anything powerful, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
It's up to us to decide how we use it.
It's a reflection of us, our hopes, our fears, our creativity, our cruelty.
It's all there.
It is, and it's up to us to shape the digital world that we want to live in.
A world that's...
A world that's safe and inclusive and, empowering for everybody.
Yeah, you've really given us a lot to think about today, especially, like you said, how we interact with all this information online
It's a lot.
and how we guide younger generations. It's easy to get caught up in the fear,
Yeah,
but there's also so much good.
absolutely.
The internet has completely changed how we connect,
Yeah.
how we learn, how we share.
Yeah, think about communication,
Yeah.
education, even healthcare.
It's crazy how much it's changed. I remember when just having email was like,
A big deal.
yeah, I was like, wow, I have email.
Right, yeah.
And now we have these entire virtual worlds. It's wild.
It's unbelievable.
It makes you think about the future of the internet. Like, where is this all going?
Right, and the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah, how do we use this ethically?
Exactly, and how do we deal with, data privacy and online safety?
And all the fake news, that's a big one.
Oh yeah, misinformation, that's huge, and it's more relevant now than ever before.
Yeah, it feels like we're in this totally new territory.
Yeah, it does.
And this Slender Man case, it's just a crazy example of something that started online, but it had these real world consequences.
It did, and it makes you wonder what other, unexpected challenges are out there.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
It is, and that's why it's so important to talk about this stuff, to think critically and to be proactive about shaping the future of this whole digital landscape.
So for those of us listening who maybe feel a little overwhelmed by all of this,
Yeah.
what can we do?
Well, I think it starts with being aware,
Okay.
paying attention to our own online habits. Like, are you fact-checking things before you share them?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are you engaging in, respectful conversations, even when you disagree with somebody?
Right.
And are you taking breaks from all the digital stuff and connecting with the real world, the physical world?
Yeah, it's so easy to get lost in all the information and opinions.
It really is. Sometimes we need to step away from the screen.
And remember, there's a whole world out there.
Exactly. And remember, it's okay to ask questions.
Yeah.
It's okay to challenge assumptions. It's okay to admit when you don't know something.
That's how we learn.
Exactly.
This deep dive has really been eye-opening.
It has.
The Slender Man stabbing, it's just so disturbing.
It really is.
But it's made us think about the power of the internet
Yeah,
and how it can blur the lines between what's real and what's fantasy,
for sure.
and the importance of mental health.
Absolutely.
It's like the internet is this double-edged sword.
It is.
It can be great,
Yeah.
but it can also be really harmful.
It's up to us to use it wisely.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into this whole Slender Man case, we're left with this question.
Okay.
How can we, as individuals and as a society, how can we navigate this digital landscape
That's a big question, right?
in a way that makes sense? It's, encourages critical thinking and empathy.
And promotes a healthy relationship with technology.
Yeah.
It's tough. There are no easy answers.
Yeah.
But by talking about it, and getting different perspectives and putting mental well-being first,
Mm-hmm.
we can work towards creating a digital world that's both empowering and safe for everyone.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful and, something to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.